John Berry songs and stories for kids with Papa Berr. Thank you for allowing us into your home today to share these great stories with you and your family. Please take a moment to share this with your friends on Facebook. Also, if you all happen to take any photos of your family enjoying and following along, we'd love to share them. Please send them to us on the John Berry Music Facebook page. Now, without further ado, here's Papa Berr.
Hey little cubs, it's Papa Berr. How are you? I have really been looking forward to today. I hope you've had a good week. Have you had a good week? And have you washed your hands? It's really important that we have clean hands. Really important. Matter of fact, let's sing the birthday song and pretend we're washing our hands. So be sure we get good clean hands. So let's reach over and get some warm water on, and then get a little soap on our hands. And then let's sing the birthday song. Here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, everybody. Happy birthday to you. Then get a towel, rinse the soap off, and get a nice clean towel and dry your hands off, and you are ready to go. I hope that you've been making the most of all this free time. I know things are still a little bit different, but it sure can be exciting. You know what I mean? And we get to spend a lot of time with our families and do things that with them that maybe we don't always get to do, like go for walks or go for a ride on bikes or play ball with your dog, play catch in the yard. Lots of fun things that we can do. Learn to play an instrument. How awesome would that be? And you know, one of my favorite things to do is to read great stories. And today we're going to read Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. It is quite the adventure. It is a great adventure story. Well, let's get to it, all right? It's going to be a good one. Long ago, in a faraway kingdom, there lived a lovely young princess named Snow White. Her stepmother, the queen, was cruel and vain. She hated anyone whose beauty rivaled her own, and she watched her stepdaughter with angry, jealous eyes. The queen had magic powers and owned a wondrous mirror that spoke. Every day she stood before it and asked, "Magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?" And every day the mirror said, "You are the fairest one of all, O queen, the fairest our eyes have ever seen." As time passed, Snow White grew more and more beautiful, and the queen grew more and more envious. So she forced the princess to dress in rags and work from dawn till dusk. Despite all the hard work, Snow White stayed sweet, gentle, and cheerful. Day after day she washed and swept and scrubbed, and day after day she dreamed of a handsome prince who would come and carry her off to his castle. One day, when the queen spoke to her mirror, it replied with the news that she had been dreading. There was now someone even more beautiful than the queen, and that person was Snow White. The queen sent for her huntsman. "Take Snow White deep into the forest," she said, "and there, my faithful huntsman, you will kill her." The man begged the queen to have mercy, but she would not be persuaded. "Silence," she warned. "You know the penalty if you fail." The next day, Snow White, never suspecting that she was in danger, went off with the huntsman. When they were deep in the woods, the huntsman drew his knife. Then suddenly he fell to his knees. "I can't do it," he sobbed. "Forgive me." He told her it was the queen who had ordered this wicked deed. "The queen!" gasped Snow White. "She's jealous of you," said the huntsman. "She'll stop at nothing. Quick, run away and don't come back. I'll lie to the queen. Now go, run, hide." Frightened, Snow White fled through the woods. Branches tore at her clothes. Sharp twigs scratched her arms and legs. Strange eyes stared from the shadows. Danger lurked everywhere. Snow White ran on and on. At last, Snow White fell wearily to the ground and began to weep. The gentle animals of the forest gathered around her and tried to comfort her. Chirping and chattering, they led her to a tiny cottage. "Oh," said Snow White, "it's adorable, just like a dollhouse." But inside, the little tables and chairs were covered with dust, and the sink was filled with dirty dishes. "My," said Snow White, "perhaps the children who live here are orphans and need someone to care for them. Maybe they'll let me stay and keep house for them." The animals all helped, and soon the place was neat and tidy. Meanwhile, the 7 dwarfs who lived in the cottage were headed home from the mine, where they worked. The dwarfs were amazed to find their house so clean. They were even more amazed when they went upstairs and saw Snow White. "It's a girl," said Doc. "She's beautiful," said Bashful. "Oh," said Grumpy, "she's gonna be trouble, mark my words." Snow White woke with a start and saw the dwarfs gathered around her. "Why, you're not children," she said. "You're little men." "I read your names on the beds," she continued. "Let me guess who you are. You're Doc, and you're Bashful. You're Sleepy, you're Sneezy, and you're Happy and Dopey, and you must be Grumpy." When Snow White told the dwarfs about the queen's plan to kill her, they decided that she should stay with them. "We're asking for trouble," huffed Grumpy. "But we can't let her get caught by that wicked queen," said Doc. The others agreed. That night, after supper, they all sang and danced and made merry music. Bashful played the concertina. Happy tapped on the drums. Sleepy tooted his horn. Grumpy played the organ, and Dopey wiggled his ears. Snow White loved her new friends, and she felt safe at last. Meanwhile, the queen had learned from her mirror that Snow White was still alive. With a magic spell, she turned herself into an old peddler woman. She filled a basket with apples, putting a poisoned apple on top. "One bite," she cackled, "and Snow White will sleep forever. Then I will be the fairest in the land." The next morning, before they left for the mine, the dwarfs warned Snow White to be on her guard. "Don't let nobody or nothing in the house," said Grumpy. "Oh, Grumpy," said Snow White, "you do care." "I'll be careful, I promise." She kissed him and the others goodbye, and the dwarfs went cheerfully off to work. A few minutes later, the queen came to the kitchen window. "Making pies, dearie?" she asked. "It's apple pies the men love. Here, taste one of these." She held the poisoned apple out to Snow White. Snow White remembered the dwarf's warning, but the woman looked harmless and the apple looked so delicious. Snow White bit the apple. Then, with a sigh, she fell to the floor. Told by the birds and animals that something was wrong, the dwarfs raced back to the cottage. They saw the queen sneaking off and they ran after her. As storm clouds gathered and rain began to fall, the dwarfs chased the queen to the top of a high rocky mountain. Crack! There was a flash of lightning, and the evil queen fell to her doom below. but it was too late for Snow White. She was so beautiful, even in death, that the dwarfs could not bear to part with her. They built her a coffin of glass and gold, and day and night they kept watch over their beloved princess. One day a handsome prince came riding through the forest. As soon as he saw Snow White, he fell in love with her. Kneeling by her coffin, he kissed her. Snow White sat up, blinked and smiled. The prince's kiss had broken the evil spell. As the dwarfs danced with joy, the prince carried Snow White off to his castle, where they lived happily ever after. The end. Lots of good lessons to be learned from that. One is it's really good to have friends, and that true beauty comes from the inside, and that we should always be kind to others. I'm going to sing a song for our prince and for Snow White. I've seen the 7 wonders of the world. I've seen the beauty of diamonds and pearls, but they ain't nothing, baby. Your love amazes me. I've seen a sunset that could make you cry, colors of a rainbow reaching across the sky. The moon in all its phases, but your love amazes me. Don't you ever doubt this love of mine. You're the only one for me. Give me hope, you give me reason, you give me something to believe in. Forever faithfully, your love amazes me. Your love. I prayed for miracles that never came. I got down on my knees out in the pouring rain, but only you could save me, and your love amazes me. Don't you ever doubt this love of mine. You're the only one for me. Give me hope, you give me reason, you give me something to believe in. Forever faithfully, your love amazes me. Your love, but only you could save me. Your love amazes me. All right. Well, thank y'all so much for being with me today. I hope you enjoyed the story of Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. Don't forget to hug your folks and tell them how much you love them, all of your family. And we'll look forward to being with you again real soon. See you later.